Welcome one and all to episode 14 of the Kakariko Road Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Petter, and with me as always I've got my two co-hosts, Steven.
Hello.
And Chase.
Hello.
The topic in today's episode is probably the most personal topic we've had so far. Basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sharing some short stories, some little funny or interesting anecdotes from times we've had while playing various Zelda games. So it's going to be a very open discussion about that, or a little bit of a story time, partially, I suppose. So I guess let's get right into it. Do you guys have anything you'd like to start by sharing, or should I start with one of mine? Or
you go ahead and start.
Yeah, go ahead and start, Petter.
Okay, I actually prepared before the episode with a little list of little things. So I'll start from the top.
Right.
And actually, this first little short thing I might have shared before, maybe on this podcast, but I'll just tell it quickly anyway. Basically, I've only played the first Zelda, like the original NES Legend of Zelda. I've only played it through from beginning to end once, and during that playthrough, I don't remember exactly when, but it was very early in the game. Like I had done maybe two or three dungeons, and I'm exploring the overworld, I guess, looking for the next objective and whatnot. And I remember I had just gotten the candle so I could burn bushes.
Okay.
So I guess whichever dungeon you got that in, I had just recently done. I don't remember if that's level 2 or 3.
The candle's just available in the overworld.
Right. Oh yeah, you buy it from a shop. So it might have been even earlier. So it was anyway. It was very early. And so I burned a random bush and I found a staircase and I was like, ooh, a little secret. And I walked down and I come into a big room and it says level 8. And I'm like, hell no. Just backing right out.
Mm-hmm.
Time to get out of there.
I thought it was a pretty funny little thing at the time anyway.
I feel like that moment is the entire reason that Zelda even exists, honestly.
Right.
Like
And this first Zelda game really did
From
really
listening
well.
to Miyamoto talk, that's really what he wanted. He wanted you to walk around and find something that was going to surprise you and to shock you and to challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, literally to not expect it, but just have it happen.
Mm.
The element of discovery is one of the Zelda series' best strengths.
Right, and I think, to me anyway, this was the best one of those. It was just
Honestly,
such a surprise.
Yeah.
I was so intimidated as well by just the title of it. I was like, oh no, I'll come back here later. I know where it is now. So yeah.
There's a time and place for everything.
And the time that you came in there was not the right one.
Not at all.
No,
oh,
sir.
No. Would either of you like to go next?
I think I'll go next. First
All right.
of all, I'll preface this with, Petter, I think you can agree with me in that Breath of the Wild, you can get a lot of short stories about interesting deaths.
Oh,
And how you've
Definitely.
died. I started playing Breath of the Wild a little bit, and I've had a very interesting experience where it was before I got to Kakariko Village. I haven't gone there yet, because I got too salty and I stopped playing the game after this. I was on a beach, and there were 2 silver chests, and it was daytime, and there were a whole bunch of bokoblins. I started, there was a large stone, so I just started standing on the stone, just chucking bombs, and just having them wail around. I eventually said, you know what, screw it, and I decided to go in and try to fight them myself. I ended up being near death, so I decided, alright, I'll run away, because none of them had bows. And then all of a sudden, 3 bokoblins show up with horses, and I immediately died. It's like, okay, great. How was I supposed to prepare for this? I don't know. And,
so 3 riding bokoblins just like came out of nowhere?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my god.
And they surrounded me, and then I died. There was really nothing that I could have done there, and I'm really disappointed at that.
I mean, this kind of in a way goes hand in hand with my thing. Like, it's the element of surprise. You can't always be completely prepared for what's coming.
Yeah, but like yours, you could run away. I couldn't run away from this one.
That's true. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Still though, it's fun that it's so unpredictable. I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Breath of the Wild has a lot of moments like those, I'm sure.
Yes, it does.
Uh,
Damn.
Everybody's talking about a time early on in a Zelda game where they just became completely, like, I guess, intimidated by what was going on around them by something they didn't expect.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
actually, this is probably a story shared by a lot of people that played Ocarina of Time when they were really young, but
Yeah.
still something that's worth mentioning just because it had a huge effect on how I played the game.
Mm-hmm.
Was when I first started playing Ocarina of Time, I was really young. I didn't really care about pushing forth the story or anything like that. Honestly, I didn't even go to the Deku Tree forever. My favorite thing was just I would walk around Kakiri Forest, Kakiri Village, and I would like collect rupees by walking through the tall grass because I thought that was so cool. Like, look, there's just rupees here, and you never know when you're gonna find them, where you're gonna find them. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, I eventually found my way into the Lost Woods. Just because looking around, I'm like, oh, there's this entire little area right here, and it's like a maze, and it's awesome. So I went through it trying to find the end. Eventually, I did find the end. I found the Sacred Forest Meadow, just from trial and error. I didn't know the music thing.
Lucky.
And then I walked. I was like, oh, look, there's grass. I'm going to go walk into the grass. And then, from like right in front of me, the white wolf popped up. It was the scariest moment in gaming as a childhood. Because I didn't even know what to do. I'd barely done any combat by that point.
Oh, yeah.
And I might not have even had the sword, I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So that was like really early then.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even do the Deku Tree yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I proceeded to not really play Ocarina of Time for many years.
Oh, damn. That's a shame.
That moment.
Almost scarred you for life.
It's a good game. I do appreciate it. And now I understand that a white wolfo is nothing.
Yeah, I think Ocarina of Time has a lot of those little things, like walking through Hyrule Field as a kid, seeing like having all the style children coming out of the ground. Like, that's creepy.
Yeah, that was, or just like the first time you see something on the ridge, you're like, oh, what's that? And it just lifts up into the air. This giant, massive thing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's Ocarina of Time for you.
Uh-huh.
I actually have a little anecdote about Ocarina of Time as well. And it's also like one of those early game thing. So as a kid playing the game, before I really was able to get really into it, I, for various reasons, restarted the game many times before I actually like pulled myself together and played it all the way through. And some of the reasons were very, very silly. I remember the first time I restarted the game was while I was making my way through the second dungeon.
Right.
And I had gotten the bomb bag, and I was using the bombs to, blow up walls and stuff like that. And eventually I ran out of bombs.
Oops. As you do.
And I wasn't able to find any new bombs, so I just assumed I was out of bombs permanently, so I restarted the game.
No. Wait, you restarted the game?
I restarted the game because I thought I was out of bombs permanently.
Oh no.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well.
And then the second time, so then I restarted the game, and eventually I caught up with where I was and got a little further, realizing my silly mistake. And however, then I made it to being an adult. I had just become an adult, and I went to Lon Lon Ranch and kind of somehow understood that I should have learned a song as a kid before coming here as an adult. And at the time, I didn't know I would be able to travel back in time again. So I restarted the game because of that.
Oh, man.
Trial and error. You'll get there at some point.
Right.
You're killing me, Petter.
Oh, boy. How old are you?
I don't know, maybe 10, 11.
Okay. Still
Something
a little
like
naive then, huh?
Oh, yes. And I hadn't, I think at the time I had never beaten a Zelda game. I didn't know exactly what Zelda was, all about.
Right, yeah. I did play Breath of the Wild a little bit when I got it. I don't remember what those enemies are called, but I was walking around the Great Plateau when I was first playing. I made sure not to go there in my second playthrough. There's the giant stone enemies.
The stone talus.
Yes. Yeah. There's one in the Great Plateau, and I died a very swift and quick death. And I think part of Monolith's game design kind of rubs off on Nintendo a little bit because there is for those of you who've played the Xenoblade games, you know what I'm talking about, where Monolith will just plop a level 60 or 80 enemy in a level 5 area and say, okay, go have fun. Don't get spotted by this enemy who will aggro you if they see you. And I think that's links up pretty well with that experience.
You know what's even worse though?
It's evil. What's up?
In the Master Mode version of Breath of the Wild, they put a Lionel on the Great Plateau. That's even more brutal.
What's that enemy?
Lionel. That's like a centaur, but a lion.
Oh,
head.
those. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And they are arguably or probably unarguably, the most powerful enemies in the game. As far as regular enemies go, I'd say.
So basically in Master Mode they placed more powerful enemies at the start of the game.
Partially that. There's other things as well, but yeah.
There's more powerful enemies everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, yes, there really are, and there's even a new level of enemy. There's the golden enemies, golden Lionels. Like silver was always the highest level before. Now there's golden.
Wonderful. For other enemies too, or just those?
I'm actually not entirely sure.
I feel like there's more than just golden Lionels.
There should be. I have played the game. I have played the mode. I just don't remember seeing anything other than golden Lionels, but there should be.
Golden monsters.
Yeah, they really made that game difficult because you die a lot.
Gold Bokoblins, Gold Moblins, Gold Lizaflos, and Gold Lionels.
Good. Okay.
Cool. All right.
So like all of the level enemies basically they do exist with the new level. That's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll never be touching that though. No. No, nuh-uh. Not happening.
It's a fun challenge. Speaking of Breath of the Wild, when I was playing the game my first time, I actually have two short little bits about this. Both of them include, I guess both of them include or involve like climate or weather stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, this was before I guess I had grasped the gimmicks with the lightning storms in the game. Like obviously if you got weaponry that's made out of metal equipped, then you'll be struck by lightning pretty much right away. If you're in a lightning storm.
Yeah.
But I hadn't understood that at the time, so I was in the middle of a thunderstorm and I had to like get to some place, and what I ended up doing because I was too stupid to understand how to solve it. What I ended up doing was I ran like as far as I could, and then because you start like zapping, yeah, and then like as a warning, and then you'll get struck like a couple seconds after that. So I started running in a direction, and when I started zapping, I paused the game, saved it, and then reloaded it.
Wow.
And then I started running again until I started zapping, and then I did that again. So that was.
So you thought that was a glitch?
No, I didn't think it was a glitch, but I didn't know how else to solve it. Because by doing that, I gave me a little more time before I started zapping each time, so I was able to at least make it, some distance like that.
The thing about Breath of the Wild, though, is that there's a lot of common sense that is required.
Definitely, very,
very much so.
For example, it's you can burn grass, and that will start a fire in the forest, or
right, it will spread if it's precisely.
Or also metal attracts lightning. Better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it was very early in the game. I don't know. I might not even have left the plateau. I don't know. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. And there's also the temperature effects too.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and this other one is related to that kind of.
Okay.
So well, it's not exactly temperature. It's more so well, it is temperature. So the volcanic area has like fire heat
Right.
Mm-hmm.
around it. So if you're in there too long without protection, you'll catch fire.
Yeah.
And so there's two ways to deal with that. Either you have the fire protective outfits, or you make a potion, or you buy a potion that gives you, a temporary immunity to it.
Right.
And I hadn't found any place to buy the armor, and I hadn't found anyone who sold the potions either. So
Can you cook for something like that or no?
You can, but you will need certain ingredients that you only find in the, or maybe I will. So I didn't know the recipe,
Okay.
for the potion, and I hadn't found anyone who sold it to me either. So and I knew I needed to get to Goron City. Like that was my next destination. It was the last of the four like divine beast areas that I was gonna visit.
Okay.
And I knew I had to get to Goron City. That's like in the middle of the volcanic area, kind of. And so I kind of circulated around and figuring out what was the shortest distance, like from the border of the fire heat area to the city. And so from that point, I basically just ran for my life into exactly in the direction of Goron City. And I was burning, obviously, because I was running through the volcanic area. I was burning like a madman. Ran, and somehow I like drank a bunch of like potions to just to replenish my life as it decreased constantly as I was ablaze. And so I basically ran burning into Goron City, right into the armor shop, and bought the fire resistant clothes.
Is that not how you're supposed to play Breath of the Wild?
Well, there are fireproof potions that you can buy at stables, like right outside of the fiery areas.
So why didn't you do that?
Because I hadn't found those people.
Oh.
Because the people who sell them aren't regular like shop people. Like they don't look like merchants. They just look like your average NPC. So that's why I missed that. But I mean, I was able to solve it anyway. But I used like Mephis Grace and a bunch of different healing meals and stuff on my way there, just burning, running.
Trial and error, the name of the game.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked ultimately, but
Yeah.
damn.
I've got another Breath of the Wild lightning story.
Okay, go for it.
This wasn't actually me. It was my roommate,
Mhm.
and he was playing Breath of the Wild, and he mastered like not only he took out a metal boomerang and throw that at the perfect time in order for the lightning to strike the boomerang just as it hits an enemy.
There you go.
And he thought that was awesome, and it was definitely awesome. I'll give him that. So he called everyone out, and he started showing it off. He started recording, and then at one point he threw the boomerang. The lightning didn't go off when it expected to. Instead, it went off. The lightning struck the moment he grabbed. The moment it came back to him. The moment it touched him.
Oh dear.
Bit too early or late for a throw, huh?
Yeah. Oh, just a little bit.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Because is it a set time or is it random?
I think it's set, but I could be wrong
Okay.
about that.
I think it's set 2. Because last I checked, I think the zaps are pretty regular.
Precisely,
Okay.
I think so as well.
I see.
But
So like, it
damn.
might be a random amount of time before the zaps start. Back the zaps start, it's a set amount of time.
Okay.
Might be. Yeah, that might be it.
You think he would get used to the timing?
So much for showing off.
Yeah. And like he had everyone out there watching him by that point. It was a performance.
Well, it's
Oh,
worth
man.
a shot.
Yeah. Oh boy. I guess I could share another little thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on ahead.
When I actually, this isn't even related. Like this wasn't even when I was playing Zelda, but it's very related to the Zelda game, very closely related to the Zelda game. So I figured I'd share it too. When I was 14, I think, I had got like, because I think I was 13 when I got like really into Zelda. I had obviously been playing the games for many years before that, but when I was 13, I got really into the franchise. and I started wanting to collect all the games, or at least all the main series games. And so when I was 14, so I'd been a big fan of the franchise for a while. I hadn't gotten my hands on all the games yet, but I was talking to a classmate, and I learned through our conversation that he had Link's Awakening DX for the Game Boy Color, and I just started sweating. I'm like, oh boy, he has what I want, and
You have been one-upped.
and like I literally started like wiping my face with my hands, like, oh dude, you gotta sell me that, game. And so he agreed to it because I guess that he never played it. But it belonged to him and his brother, and they both wanted like money for it, like for their own. So I had to pay like basically double what they wanted for it, so that both of the brothers could get their money. But it was worth it from my point of view. I love that game, and it's a cherished memory as well.
Yeah, I'm still debating on if I'm gonna play it now or the remake when it comes out. But a large part of that is how the remake costs, but that's a whole different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
I think the remake's gonna be a good run.
I'm definitely going to play them both eventually, and I think I am going to play Link's Awakening before the remake comes out.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
I may do that, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I guess one little story that I have is I got my GameCube with Wind Waker when I was either 5 or 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was not prepared for like the ominous tones yet, so I did not get very far after the island. I for some apparent reason I just found the enemy designs, especially in the fortress, really scary.
Dude, I agree I agree totally. When I was playing as a kid, totally.
On the other hand, that fortress is what made me fall in love with Zelda in the first place.
Okay.
Because
I think it's very well designed.
Yeah. I didn't actually, like, mind you, I didn't actually get Wind Waker. I've never in my life actually owned the game.
Oh yeah, you had the demo, right?
Yeah, I had the 20-minute demo.
Is it like a timer? Is that what it is?
So what it does is it can start you off from 3 different places. It can start you off from Windfall. It can start you off from right outside Dragon Roost temple, dungeon, whatever it is, Dragon Roost Mountain. Cavern, thank you, that's the word I was looking for. Or it can start you off in that first room of the Forsaken Fortress.
Ooh.
And I just played that stealth section so much. It was so much fun.
That's nice.
And also, eventually it came a point where we'd play that so much where my siblings and I would literally like race to see who could get farther through Dragon Roost in 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it.
I mean, that's a good way to use a demo disc.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Huh.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can tell. My first time through Wind Waker, when I was doing the Killer Bees hide and seek bit, if you know.
Yeah.
Right.
I had found all of the boys except for the leader, and then I'm just running like along a wall or like someplace, and I see him sitting atop the big tree, like on the right outside the village, you know. That's his hiding spot, like right on the top of the big tree, and I'm like, ooh, there he is. So I climb up the windmill, I think, and I use my leaf to glide down to him, and so I land right beside him on the tree, and he doesn't react. He's just standing there like he was before, like keeping watch, like that like the same kind of animation as he had before. He does not respond to me. I wave my sword at him, nothing happens. Turns out that the way the programmers or the game designers intended for you to do it was to roll into the tree from below, and that will shake him down. They never expected anyone to actually go to where he actually was, I guess. For some reason, they didn't keep that in mind.
God damn it, Shigeru.
But that was my initial thought, like I gotta go to where he is, because that's what I had done with the 3 previous little guys. And if I recall, I tested this in the HD remake for the Wii U, and they hadn't fixed it. Like, it was still the same same thing.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I was disappointed.
I guess it wasn't common enough among players to do that.
I suppose
Well,
not. I guess it
for
wasn't a
them to
big
point
thing.
it out.
I guess we just have to wait and see if that they end up changing that when they make Wind Waker VR.
They better.
Or a Switch port, please.
It wouldn't be a Switch. It wouldn't be a remake though. That would just be a Switch port of HD, which is probably going to come.
Yeah,
I sure hope so.
they would port the HD version. Yeah.
Because I still don't want to get a Wii U, and those two Zelda games are 2 of the 3 reasons I would get a Wii U.
Which is the Mario Maker?
No. Well, my philosophy is, if it's a port or a sequel of a game that's on the Wii U, I cross it off the list. So since Mario Maker 2 got announced, I don't have to get a Wii U for it.
So which is the third reason for a Wii U?
Xenoblade X. Xenoblade Chronicles X. But other than that, it's the 2 Zelda games.
Right.
So
and they're just remasters ultimately.
Right. And you could upgrade Wind Waker, but the design is so timeless to where you can't really tell the difference all that much outside of these little lighting touches and
Yeah, I
depth
think
of
so as
field
well.
and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, while we're on the topic of Wind Waker, I have one last Wind Waker anecdote to share.
Okay.
So during my, I don't know, 4th or something playthrough of Wind Waker, I played it through with my cousin, who had never played Wind Waker before. So we were basically like playing it together, like passing the controller between us every now and then, you know,
Cool.
making our way through the game together whenever he was visiting. And so he was fighting Godin, you know, the boss of the Tower of the Gods, the big face with the hands.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Like kind of bongo, basically.
Yep.
In the gameplay. So my cousin was fighting that boss, and he was able to beat him, but with only literally a quarter of a heart left. he beat the boss with a quarter of a heart left, and no like potions or fairies in bottles or anything like that. And after he beat the boss, and like the little cutscene was over, he accidentally stepped right into the light without picking up the heart container.
Oops.
And after this particular boss, if you remember in the story, it brings you down to Hyrule Castle, and the first thing you have to do basically is fight off like countless moblins and darknuts inside the castle. And
Right.
he just handed the controller to me, and I was there up against all of these enemies with a quarter of a heart in my life meter. I was able to make it because I found some pots with recovery hearts and stuff, but man, that was not fun initially. Like, and then of course we had to go back up the tower and collect that heart container.
Yeah.
Of course.
But
That
man,
would have just been a pain.
I'm sure that's not the first time that mistake has happened.
probably not. But man, I was so pissed.
Because they always give you the option.
They do.
Yeah. And they always give you a yes or no prompt after you try to leave.
I don't think they do always.
Pretty sure.
In Twilight Princess, they definitely do, but I don't think they do.
Yeah,
in Wind
because
Waker.
Midna tells you, "Do you really want to leave?"
Yeah, she always does that, but I don't think in the other games. I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least not in
I
the
would-
games before Twilight Princess.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, that mistake is made quite a bit, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Do you guys have more? Because I have like 2 more things.
Yeah, I've got a couple more that I could do, but
Do
if
it,
we want
man.
to end it off here.
I don't want to talk the whole time.
All right, so let's see. I think next one I'll go for is Twilight Princess.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, I hate fishing in video games.
I
I mean,
I know where
like,
you're going with this.
Sonic Adventure
Oh,
was
no.
fine. That was definitely meant to be a joke. It wasn't meant to be serious, and I was a little bit older at the time, so I accepted that. I tried playing Sega Bass Fishing. I hated it utterly. And then comes Twilight Princess.
Oh, I know what you're going to talk
This is
about.
like right after Twilight Princess released. And so I went and I started the game almost immediately when we got it because, duh, new Zelda game, first Zelda game on the Wii.
Yeah.
Loved it. Well, I started playing. Everybody knows where this is going by now.
Yep.
And we had to go catch a fish. I was like, oh, that shouldn't be too bad. So I went fishing. And I couldn't catch the fish. I don't know why I was so unlucky. I was just not catching. I didn't get it. Finally, after hours of trying, I was able to catch a fish. I was pumped. I finally get to play this Zelda game. I go bring it to the cat. The cat takes the fish, and you need to get one more.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that was the moment I stopped playing Twilight Princess.
It's so silly.
Man, the intro section in that game
From that point on, I was sharing a file with my brother so I wouldn't have to deal with that. You have no idea how mad I was when he had to go catch another fish.
Yeah, there is
And
one
Zora's
more
domain.
point in the plot where you have to catch a fish for one of the Yetis.
And that pissed me off so much.
It's like, we meet again, my arch nemesis.
Well, Chase, then you
Fishing.
should try to catch the Hylian Loach in Twilight Princess.
Nope. No, not doing it.
Have you done this, Steven?
No.
I did it once, but man.
I don't usually do all that many extras or post-game stuff.
I
in
see.
video
Twilight
games.
Princess is one of the few Zelda games that I actually 100%ed.
Okay.
I will
But,
say, the
man,
fishing in Phantom Hourglass isn't actually that bad, somehow.
I haven't done that, actually. Haven't tried that.
Like, compared to other Zelda fishing, I don't mind it.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Speaking of fishes, and I guess this is a weird segue. And well, not it's not that bad. Gyorg. Some people pronounce it Georg. The third boss of Majora's Mask. My first time through the game, I had just heard so many people talking about Gyorg and how hard it is, and I was so intimidated by just the reputation that this boss had, and so I eventually, after a lot of struggle, I made it through the Great Bay Temple, and I reached the boss room, and I jumped down to it, and I had really gathered up a lot of courage for this, and then I fight the boss, and I beat it with I only lost 3 hearts during the boss battle.
Cool.
And I was very underwhelmed. I enjoyed the fight. It was really fun. I think it's really well designed boss fight. But I don't know, to me personally, it wasn't at all as hard as I had I guess as I had envisioned.
So basically it didn't meet the hype that you expected?
No, it didn't. But yeah, I mean it was definitely fun.
Cool.
But the difficulty level was not where I thought it would be.
Right. Yeah, the same goes for Twilight Princess bosses, where the spectacle is great. Difficulty, not so much, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Those are way too easy, most of them. Or all of them. Actually, in Twilight Princess, the battle I had the most difficulty with was the mini-boss fight in Snow Peak Ruins. Against the Sleghammer soldier guy.
Suit armor?
The guy with the
the
ball and chain.
Was that a Dark Nut or an Iron Knuckle?
I don't.
It's not a Dark Nut.
Then I guess it was an Iron Knuckle.
I think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It just it wields the ball and chain.
The ball and
this,
chain knuckle. Yeah.
in this narrow hallway, and it's I don't know. I think I still struggle with that one just because it's so hard to get around.
Yeah, to dodge and get out of the way. And, get
And
past
that's
him.
the hardest that's the hardest fight in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Walls, the natural enemy of Triforce of Courage.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Walls and balls.
Walls and balls.
Better, that should be the name of your next rap song.
Dude. Well, actually, I do. It's going to be called Thin Walls and Flapping Balls.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You told us about this.
Yep.
Anyway, you had one more, Chase, or?
A lot of them aren't necessarily moments. Actually, I guess they are moments. Like, my friend across the street when I was growing up was also a really huge Zelda fan. He's the guy that really got me super into the games. And so, I said we played Twilight Princess. He also had Twilight Princess. But we had it for the Wii, and he had it for the GameCube.
Ah.
So, we went over to his place once. And we're like, yeah, let's go play some Twilight Princess. No idea what was going on.
Yeah.
I opened it up, and I couldn't even. To this day, I can't play GameCube Twilight Princess because my mind is still stuck.
It's so weird
one.
because I'm just like, why is it flipped? Why couldn't the GameCube version just match the Wii version?
But the GameCube version is the original flip.
Yeah, GameCube version is the
Because
original.
I'm like, why can't the versions be the same?
Basically, the Wii version is mirrored.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because they wanted it to be right-handed.
There's
Yes.
so much. There's many easier ways to do that.
And Nintendo took the harder route and decided to flip the whole map.
Yeah, but I can 100% feel you on that, Chase. Like, because I also started with the Wii version. And then I eventually, I was obsessed with Twilight Princess for a couple of years. Like, I played it so many times, over and over and over. I learned it, like, so, wow, that was a good snap. Anyway, I learned it, like, every little nook and cranny of it. And then, just out of curiosity, because I'd heard the GameCube version wasn't the same mirror, or yeah, it was mirrored compared to the Wii version. So I got the GameCube version as well and started playing it, and I was completely confused at first. And because everything that I knew so well was completely different. I mean, it wasn't completely different, but it felt completely different just because of the mirror.
Don't they give you an option in the HD version to switch hands?
The HD version has two modes. It's got like a hard mode and a normal mode. The normal mode is the GameCube flip. The hard mode is the Wii flip.
Yeah, just like how Ocarina of Time Master Quest was.
People liked the Wii version more, so why?
I don't think people like the Wii version more because motion controls.
Yeah, people don't like motion controls.
That's true, but I'm just talking about like the map.
Why would they prefer the Wii map?
Because probably more people started the Wii version because the Wii was the new console.
Maybe.
Right.
Nah, I don't know. Like I think the GameCube map is the most canon, I'd say, because it matches up very well with the Ocarina of Time.
You're talking about canon in regard to Zelda maps, which is arguably the most changing thing in the franchise.
Right, but you know what I mean. Like generally, where things are, ish in relation to each other, the GameCube map matches like other Hyrule versions much better.
Yeah, it does.
But after I got the GameCube game, GameCube version of Twilight Princess, after I'd played it for several hours, maybe for 2 or 3 days, many hours a day, I eventually got used to the mirror thing, and I started like in my head, I started like automatically, subconsciously kind of translating right to left and left to right, and then after I had played the game, after I put the game down and just started walking around in the house, I still had this weird subconscious translating left to right and right to left in my head. And I almost walked into walls in the house because I expected things to be mirrored. It was super weird. Such a weird feeling.
Nice work. 10 out of 10. Beautiful.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really strange. My last anecdote I have actually is about Skyward Sword.
Okay.
And it was for my first playthrough of the game. Early on, the game basically recommends you to get a shield, or very, very much. Like, everyone keeps telling you, hey, get a shield, like, for some part early game. And I did. I got the shield, because the game really wanted me to. But I realized that the shield had a durability meter, and I wasn't so fond of that.
Right.
At the time. I was like, hey, it's just going to break anyway. Why should I even care to have it? And so I just stored it away at the storage place in Skyloft. I never brought it out again. I never bought any new shields or anything, because I was like, fuck breakable shields. And this was before I became a fan of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm starting to see a pattern with your stories, Petter.
Wait.
The game gives you something, and you're just like, well, I'm either going to drop it, or I'm going to think that I can't get it back.
Oh yeah, with
because you restarted Ocarina of Time multiple times, and
right?
Now you're telling me you didn't use shields in Skyward Sword. So
pretty much, the minute Petter sees that something doesn't last forever, he's just nope.
I mean, but then Breath of the Wild came out where everything breaks, and I love that. So, but I guess I've changed. I've gone through an arc,
and now you're comfortable with it.
What I was gonna say is that. So yeah, basically, I never used the shield throughout my first playthrough of Skyward Sword, and then I decided to play the game again afterwards, and I was like, okay, well, I'll try out the shields this time, and I did, and everything just became like a million times easier. It like truly, it was like playing easy mode all of a sudden.
It's how the game was intended to be played.
Manufactured hard mode.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess I did an unintentional accidental hard mode of Skyward
Yeah.
Sword. Boy.
Should we call the episode there?
Unless you have anything more, do you?
I don't. What about you, Chase?
I'm good.
All right. In that case, thank you everyone so much for listening. Check out the video description for cool links, and we will see you guys in a week. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you next time.